Well, hey, I'm Trey Grant, the founder of Specs Movement, pastor of Well Church in Keller. I'm here with Ed Gray, my new friend.
What's up, man?
We're in a Fluellen cupcake shop, black-owned cupcake shop. It's kind of ironic that we're in a cupcake shop, you know, black-owned cupcake shop, talking about something that's not sweet or cupcakey.
It's irony.
It's irony, yes.
Sweet irony at
It
that.
is sweet irony in it. It is. Have you ever been to a courthouse? Better yet, have you ever been to an old courthouse? Well, in case you haven't, they smell of wood grain, poor ventilation, and cortisol. Cortisol is a chemical that is released from the body, specifically the adrenal glands, in a moment of adrenaline. Specifically, a moment of adrenaline in waiting for your arraignment in a courthouse. In this very courthouse here in Dallas, Texas, over 100 years ago, Alan Brooks, a 59-year-old black handyman, was accused without evidence of assaulting a 2.5-year-old white girl. Alan had been hired by Mary's father to fix their broken furnace. And while he was fixing their furnace in their house, baby Mary goes missing. And the family frantically is looking for Mary all over the house, finally to find her a few minutes later in the very room that Alan was fixing their furnace. Immediately, her father accuses Alan of assaulting their daughter. Within 24 hours, Alan is arrested and taken into custody.
But what they did do was they incarcerated him, and they moved him from one jail cell to another throughout the counties of Dallas and Collin and Tarrant County. Each one of these counties had a piece of this lynching. It wasn't just a Dallas lynching, it was a North Texas lynching.
After a month of waiting in jail, Alan is finally given a court date. And on March 3rd, 1910, Alan shows up to court with his court-appointed attorney. At an hour and 15 minutes into the proceedings, a ladder is placed on the side of the building, and a mob begins to take over the proceedings. They race to where Alan is seated, place a rope around his neck, and throw him out of the second-floor window of the courthouse. He falls to the ground, hits his head, and this mob that is outside, that has grown to 5,000 people, begin to punch and kick him over and over again. The city of Dallas brought in hundreds of security just for this very reason. However, according to history, not a single shot was fired.
Imagine, if you will, that you're accused of something you didn't do. And they put you in a jail, and they moved you to Tarrant County Jail. They moved you to Tarrant County Jail, and then they say, we're gonna hang you. We're gonna hang you. You know we're gonna get you. And you say, I didn't do anything, I didn't do anything. Then they move you to another county jail where it repeats itself again. And then you finally go on trial. And before you get to the trial, they take you out of the courtroom and throw you head first out of the second floor window of the courthouse, the Justice Center, where you're supposed to get justice.
Alan is dragged from the courthouse 5 blocks to this very location at Akron in Maine, to what then was known as Elks Arch, where he was lynched on a telegraph pole and is hung for all the world to see. Those who attended took carvings from the telegraph pole as trophies of this lynching. According to historian Herbert Shapiro, by the time the police arrived on site, Alan's body had been reduced to, quote, a shapeless mass of flesh.
See, that marker there was like, it was the center of town. People from miles and miles and miles came to the Elks Arch. And that was the entertainment where over 6,000 people saw a man hung. But yet, up until 2 years ago, people would walk by that site and would not even have a clue.
Yeah, I drove from the courthouse to Akron, Maine in my car. And as I was driving, I'm experiencing the comforts of my car, but I couldn't help but imagine being drugged from the courthouse, those 5-6 blocks. I could feel it, and I could imagine it, and brought tears to my eyes, just in experiencing it. As you were doing this work and fighting to get this historical marker, did you have any moments where you just were present and just was like, this really happened, this wasn't that long ago? Like how did you feel during that process?
When I turn and flip the light on and I look through the mirror, I see an angry black man at that moment. My whole entire life has been consumed with fighting through the anger to affect change. So that's what I've done. So I instinctively drive through the Triple Underpass, and I glance over where President Kennedy was shot at, where blocks away from there, Martyrs Park, where 3 people were martyred. That's why we call it Martyrs Park. And then 1 block away from there is where Allen Brooks was killed. He was lynched where we're at now, at this corner of Maine and Akron. But he was killed at the Dallas County Courthouse because the fall killed him. That probably killed him. So there's the anger on that. The anger on that is to know it. The anger on that is to walk it as well. I walked it. And as I walked it, well, it's pain. And it's pain that's always there to see.
Though there were 5,000 onlookers that day, and many interviews and photographs were taken on that day, no one was ever held responsible for the lynching of Allen Brooks. It took the city of Dallas 111 years to acknowledge the lynching of Allen Brooks. Question: why do we share this story and stories like this? We do so because with acknowledgement comes lament, and with lament comes healing, and with healing comes hope. I don't know about you, but it bothers me to hear someone say, why can't we just forget the past? Why can't we just move on? Black people have come so far. That bothers me because that is the equivalent to me of saying, forget your history, forget where you've come from. I don't want to lose my history. I don't want to forget my history because it's my history that allows me to move into my future. And I don't want to relive the past, but I want to remember it so that I can take that history and use it to make a difference in this world that I live in.
I'm like remembering history this way. I'm remembering history in a way in which it should be taught in school, not in the way we were taught in school about, well, you should never tell a lie, George Washington cut down a cherry tree, and that kind of thing, And I'm going like, what does that got to do with me? Because I'm an old school guy, like Public Enemy used to say. My heroes never appeared on any stamps. Because don't worry, be happy, don't work for me. Because it's nothing about happiness when I see oppression around me. It doesn't matter whether or not it happened last week or 100 years ago or 200 years ago, oppression is oppression. That's the importance of what we're doing. It's not about me, it's not about you, it's about us, what we're doing. Educating people to understand that if we don't know our past, we are doomed to repeat it.
So true.
And if we don't know our past, we can't learn from it.
Yeah.
So to my brothers and sisters who say, well, that happened so long ago, why don't we concentrate on things that can make us happy? Because they want us to be not worried, but happy. I go to bed every night happy to know that the next morning if I get up, I I can fight just as hard tomorrow as I did today.
So true. Man, I can just imagine that ladder right here, you know?